Hello, I'm Sant here, and welcome to a video in my talking about things that have been on my mind and sharing the internal monologue series. Today, I want to talk about The Lord of the Rings, and specifically, I want to talk about the way the book does something that I think is really cool. I kind of conceptually call this like stars in the night. I don't have a good summary of it, but just so that way people know, I'm talking specifically about the book, which I have read somewhat recently for the first time. Was a big fan of the movies, then I read the book, and the movies still have cool bits, but I like the book better. Anyway, we're not going to get into that, because that's not what this is about. The movie necessarily does a lot of things differently in the process of adaptation. I think it's a great set of movies as to adapt these books for a mainstream audience. But that means that they made a lot of changes, and so some of the stuff I'm talking about today is very present in the book, not really in the movies. So this base concept is sort of, I don't even know, we'll just go in, and hopefully the picture of what I'm talking about will refine itself as I talk. So the basic idea here is a lot of the random stuff that happens to the characters in The Lord of the Rings is good luck. It's fortunate. They run into Tom Bombadil, who's able to help them, them being the hobbits in this case. They run into Strider, who turns out to be a good guy. Theoden is a big help and immediately like, hey, now that you've knocked me out of my gloom, I'm ready to go to war against the things that are happening. They have like constant good luck. Good things are happening. The Faramir is encountered in the wilderness, and he is a help and a boon. Is it Gildor? Gildor and Hildor, there's some elf names that I kind of blend together in my brain. But the guys heading to the Grey Shores that the hobbits, Sam and Frodo, run into in the Shire, that's a benefit. The encounter in Lothlorien ends up being beneficial. Right? There's all of these things where the characters have good luck after good luck after good luck. Good, positive things are happening to them all the time, and yet it never felt like Deus Ex Machina to me. It never did. And the reason why, because I thought this was really interesting. Like, okay, how did it be that Tolkien basically wrote, like, not every single encounter, like, random thing that happens, but almost every random thing that happens is like, here's a bit of good luck at last. How did he manage to accomplish that without it feeling like Deus Ex Machina? And I realized there's a couple of things that he did. First of all, he set a general atmosphere that is very dark, very grim. There's a lot of different ways that he does this. A lot of it's from the lore. He has lots of little lore snippets just discussing the world of Middle-earth. And what he discusses is Middle-earth is a dying world. It is fallen from glory. It is fading. It is becoming lesser. This is constantly communicated everywhere. The last brilliance or the forgotten glories, all sorts of descriptions of the world that was permeate The Lord of the Rings. This is really important for setting up the atmosphere. The other thing is it frequently refers to the absolute danger of Sauron. And all of these sorts of things coming together make an atmosphere where, and this is why I call it stars in the night sky, right? Stars are the good luck, but the night sky is there, and the stars can't wash out the night sky. The darkness is omnipresent. It is everywhere. It is pressing in many different little ways. And so this inherent atmosphere means that all these bright points aren't able to undo that darkness. They're not able to stop it from happening because he never makes that sort of luck happen. And that's the other thing. All of the good luck that the characters encounter feels more orthogonal. It is not advancing them on their main quest. So, quick math lesson. Orthogonal is stuff that's coming in at like a perpendicular 90-degree angle. Parallel would be going side by side, right? There's nothing coming along strengthening the character's journey. It, like their encounter with Faramir. It helps. It gives them a respite. It gives them a break. But it doesn't solve the problem of Frodo and Sam need to get the ring into Mordor. It doesn't solve that problem. It's a positive point. It's happy. It's some good fortune. But it doesn't solve the problem. And this is really important. The world is dark. There are bright points, but the bright points don't solve problems. often. Like they either don't solve problems, or if they do solve a problem, they don't solve the problem, which is Sauron is undefeatable, and the only thing we can do is get the ring into Mount Doom and hope that quest succeeds. Like that's all they've got. And even when they do get good fortune, that does solve a problem, it doesn't solve that problem. So these like techniques they're really interesting to me from a storytelling perspective, because so often what we do is characters only have bad luck, right? They never have a break. They can never catch a break. So if I'm like reading the Dresden Files, for example, which I don't read that often, but that's one of the books I do read, piece of luck happens, it's bad. Something goes from bad to worse. Something goes wrong. But what happens in The Lord of the Rings is it's a constant string of positive encounters, just none of them can solve the fundamental underlying issue of we're all going to get killed by Sauron or subjugated by him. And so the way that works, it's very interesting to me because it just creates an incredibly like negative general atmosphere, so that way Tolkien could write specific positive atmosphere, like specific positive encounters and events all the time. And I think this is something that's really important. It's something that we can integrate into stories today. I think it's something that, as long as we find ways of doing it well that don't undermine the fundamental conflict, you avoid Deus Ex Machina by having good things happen. It creates positive encounters, and it makes people excited about random stuff. Like, I was thinking about this in application of video games, because I'm a big gamer. I enjoy video games a lot. You might be able to tell from other videos on this channel. And in games, we have this concept, particularly in RPGs, of the random encounter. You randomly encounter an enemy. Always an enemy. What if you had random encounters that were positive, where it's like, oh, you randomly encountered a merchant? That would create a very different sort of experience. And having like random positive encounters, when it feels like you're on your last legs and suddenly, you get a moment to rest. It doesn't solve the problem that you're trying to strive for, but it gives you a moment. It gives you a respite. It allows you to stock up on supplies. I think those sorts of things are really cool and a really cool idea. And I'd like to see that sort of stuff crop up in things. And there's one more thing that I kind of want to talk about as well, is using good luck to show how insurmountable the challenge is. And a perfect example of this is the Battle of Pelennor Fields. So it's a big set piece. You have this huge conflict between the vanguard of Mordor and the Gondorian army. So it's the Siege of Minas Tirith, the orcs and many other forces, Sauron's combined vanguard forces, go in and attack Minas Tirith. And they're not doing well, and then the Rohirrim arrive, and they stave off disaster for a bit, as much as they can. And then Aragorn arrives with the people from down in southern Gondor. And, like, through their combined efforts, they're able to stave off and win this battle barely. They got real lucky to have their allies arrive just in the nick of time to barely win against Sauron's like initial assault, initial vanguard. That's all they were able to do. They were able to win that battle through like luck and the skin of their teeth, which is a weird expression, but never mind that. And like, it's very clear. The book's like, hooray, we won against that army. You know, his initial force. Yep, they barely won against the initial force, and now they're like, the full might of Mordor is still there in Mordor. Like, it just paints the picture to me of like, oh, they had to get real lucky to even win this fight. The fight against the whole thing, that's impossible. And it just does this great job of like, even in their luck, you can see, because again, they're not failing because they get unlucky. They're getting lucky and barely succeeding against like the initial thing, and you just get the impression of like, because this is again, what's so cool is he just starts at such a low point for everything in the world that he's able to have all these high points where it pops way up, but it never crests the ultimate height that it would need to in order to be able to have victory until the very end. And I don't feel like that's Deus Ex Machina either. That's like struggle and challenge to get to that point, and in part because he just makes the whole journey through Mordor so excruciating. And I I think, really well done way. So anyway, those have been my thoughts on this. Love to hear what you think in the comments down below. And perhaps there can be a follow-up video. That'd be cool. And until next time, everyone, you can support me on Patreon at patreon.com/Scantier. Thank you all for watching. Take care, and goodbye.